This intro always escapes me. I don't have like an intro. I should make like some hyped up like MLG edit intro that I can always play and just like have it there. Hello there, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to be sitting down with you today. Let's talk about fashion. In this video, we're covering the 5 things that I wish I knew when I first got into fashion. These are all lessons that I've learned over the years, but it would have made it much easier if I knew all of them from the start. I'm hoping that by sharing them, it'll make your journey a lot easier. First, let's get into some context. I've been into fashion in the broader sense for my entire life. Growing up in South Florida, I didn't experiment too much. It was always very warm, so layering was like a myth to me. And there were a ton of social pressures on me from the time that I was a kid about what was normal to wear and what wasn't. So things like skirts that I've loved wearing recently, I didn't really approach that until I was in college. In the last 2 years, I've been more actively pursuing my own personal style and a better understanding of the fashion world in general. It's during that time that I've had these improvements in my understanding and perspective on fashion and personal style. The cool thing is that you can actually go back and see that entire journey on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. I've been making content since almost the first day that I was trying to dress better. I didn't really expect to have an audience for any of this. I'm thrilled that I do, but I was doing it to improve myself and make some fun content while I was at it. The one thing I haven't done enough is talk about what I learned and what the process was like. You can go all the way back and visually see how much my style has changed through this process. But I'm driven to talk about it more so that the messages are more easily distilled and communicated. With that, let's get to number 1. It might sound cliche, but fashion is not a team sport. This was not intended to play so well into that first point, but it does, and I'm very happy that it does. So what do I mean by saying that fashion is not a team sport? First of all, it's an individual pursuit. One thing that I dealt with a lot, and that I think a lot of people deal with when they are trying new things with their style or learning about fashion, is a lot of bias and sometimes negativity from other people. There have been so many times where I felt discouraged from wearing something, both when I was younger and in the last few years, simply because someone else didn't like it. Someone on the internet, someone that I knew, whoever. And a lot of those things, when I had the confidence to wear them for the first time, I loved. So I could have had years more development in my personal style if I would have stuck to what I actually liked and was curious about from day one. That is not to say that everyone else's opinion is totally useless. Constructive criticism from people who know what they're talking about, or friends, family, whoever, is always welcome, especially to me. But constructive criticism looks a lot different from "you shouldn't wear that, it's not for you because of gender, body shape, whatever," or people just hating because they're jealous and they don't want you to be confident because they aren't confident. I see fashion a lot more like an endurance sport, like running. When it comes to running, you definitely get feedback from the other people around you. With my ultramarathon training, I talk to my friends, my parents, other people that I know that are athletes, and they have wonderful perspectives on my training, on how I'm approaching, and on how I feel, on what I can do to improve. But they're not out there with me every day while I'm putting the time in, while I'm putting the work in. Fashion is very similar. You can get online, go in person, talk to other people about what you're doing, but you are the only one that's going to wear those outfits. You're the only one that has the taste that you have. So by far the most important thing with your personal style, with your exploration of fashion, is you. The balance between listening to others' wisdom and trusting your taste can be hard to find. It's something I go back and forth on depending on the day, depending how I'm feeling, depending on what the trend cycles are. Sometimes everyone is like, only baggy jeans work, when in fact skinny jeans can actually look pretty cool. That's like a lukewarm take at this point, but it's a good example. It all comes down to what you like and what is an authentic representation of yourself. Wisdom is an amazing example of this. The skinny jeans that he's been styling are one thing, but in general, his style is so unique and iconic, and it's all because of what he is doing. He is bringing that out from within himself. He's not listening to the guys that are saying like, oh, you need to wear baggy pants, you need to wear a cardigan or whatever. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this crazy shawl made of mirrors. I'm gonna wear boots that make me like 7 feet tall. The dude is incredible because he follows his curiosity and his taste, and his ideas are wonderful. The second lesson I wish I learned on day 1 was that secondhand shopping takes time. Thrifting is such a huge trend, vintage is so big right now that I feel like the reality of that kind of shopping is lost for most people. It was definitely lost for me. I had a habit of going to a thrift store locally when I was in college and just grabbing stuff that I thought was interesting but maybe wasn't perfect for me. As a result, I ended up donating a lot of those clothes back to that same thrift store, and I gained some fashion experience, but at the cost of money for clothes that I didn't end up wearing more than a few times. That kind of experimentation is great, but when it comes to getting really good items that fit your style and really feel like you from secondhand sources, it takes a while. I got lucky a few times with a fisherman's sweater with a really amazing pea coat. Occasionally you'll stumble upon something that is perfect and it works out so well, but those moments come a lot more frequently when you actually put a lot more time in than they do if you just show up once and try to find some amazing stuff. To give you an example of this, I've been trying to track down a perfect leather jacket for 6 months now. I only want to buy one secondhand. I don't really want to break in a new leather jacket. I don't want to pay the super expensive prices for a beautiful new leather jacket. I think I can find a cool one vintage or thrifted. I have been going into stores everywhere I go, across continents, right? Like multiple different countries, and I've not found one that's perfect for me yet. I've done this same thing with pieces over time. I bought a leather jacket for my girlfriend for Christmas last year. I had to buy her 2 because they both were kind of perfect, but slightly different. It took me 3 months of searching different stores in different states to make that happen. It's totally worth it. When you find a piece like that that has a story, that has the perfect fit, that is the perfect price, it feels so good, and I love wearing those pieces that have stuck with me for years now. But if you want the perfect piece secondhand, it does take a while. That rule doesn't necessarily apply if you're really experimenting with your style. It can be super fun to go to a secondhand store if you don't know that much about what you like and don't like, and grab a few different things for amazing prices that have already been worn so you're not contributing to more waste. And then go try those things, see what works, see what doesn't, and donate the ones you don't need back to the place. The third major lesson is one that really solidified for me recently. It's that high fashion, like runway stuff, designer stuff, is actually pretty cool. I had a bit of a bias when I first got into fashion against the really expensive, innovative, crazy stuff. And I had, I think, a good reason for that. I really was obsessed with functionality. I didn't want to wear something that I couldn't wear out for my entire day that would be able to do whatever I needed it to in the course of my normal existence. I still have that core value, but I do think it's shifted and changed as my mind's opened up. What really changed my mind about it was seeing ready-to-wear collections that are actually excellent. One example that I know of is Ganni. I saw their stuff personally in Copenhagen and was blown away. The other part of this change in perspective for me was actually going to New York Fashion Week. I was lucky enough to see a range of shows by international designers, and I went into it expecting to think it was somewhat silly, but once I saw, especially in person, I think these things you can appreciate on the internet, you can appreciate them in an exhibit at a museum, but seeing them on the runway with the full production involved helped me appreciate the context, the story, the history that went into these clothes so much more. And even though they were pretty outlandish, a lot of them were insane, some had crazy lights, some of them were literal like sound waves that were represented in a physical form, printed on a shirt and like worn by a model. They all actually made sense when I considered them as pieces of art and not just things that people were wearing to wear clothes. For a lot of the bigger established like main houses, the story might be more along the lines of their history or the impact of one person on the fashion world or the clothes of that company. Viewing these runway collections in that context as part of a story, as part of artistic expression, as opposed to impractical, crazy, inaccessible things, gave me so much more appreciation for them. The fourth lesson I would tell myself if I were starting over today with fashion is that style isn't just what you wear, it's about how you wear it. You could take this as some sort of like spiritual or like metaphorical thing about the confidence you bring to an outfit, and that's absolutely true. But I also mean this practically. The actual foundation of your outfit, the garments you're wearing, definitely do matter. However, the actual pieces you have on your body, the actual cloth, is only a starting point. The way that you style it, and I'll explain what that means, determines if an outfit succeeds or fails. Not every outfit needs to succeed or fail, but when you're trying to get a fit off, when you're trying to put together something really cool or crazy that matches a vision that you have, if you want it to match that vision and ultimately look good, you need to approach that styling with intention. The styling consists of your choices, which things you decide to wear and how you wear them, your accessories, and any modifications you do to make it all flow together better. These small choices, when put together, can make the outfit flow as one whole versus having it feel disjointed as multiple pieces. Something I noticed about my style early on in hindsight was that I had cool pieces, but I didn't know how to put them together. The way that you style things will allow you to make them into one cohesive outfit that works. The fifth and final thing that I wish I could tell my past self who was first getting into fashion: you can wear crazy fits, you can wear things that are outlandish. It's okay and actually great to mess up along the way. I had a funny moment a couple weeks ago where someone commented on an old video, and I pulled it up because I was curious like why they were on an old video. It was a video that had done well, whatever. I saw the outfit and I was like, what was I wearing? That is so dumb. I look stupid. Can't believe I wore that. But I thought about it for a second and I realized that was one of my favorite outfits to put on in that era of my existence. It's kind of whack in hindsight, at least given my taste now and how I've distilled my style into a more focused and true to myself version of what it is. But at the time, that felt like me, and it was moving in the direction that I've continued to go down. So as you grow and change, your style should grow and change as well. And if you look back and say that was a stupid fit, think about where you were and how far you've come. The other side of this is that in the moment, if you think it is whack and you're putting it on, you're like, this is crazy, but it's fun and it's experimental and it's new, and it's something you've been wanting to do, go for it. Maybe you'll look back one day and say, I don't know what I was doing, that was crazy, that was dumb, that's not me. Maybe you'll look back and say, I'm so glad I did that because that changed how I saw myself and my style for the rest of my life. Most likely it'll be somewhere in the middle, but speaking from experience, I can tell you that jumping outside of my comfort zone a little bit with my outfits has been the biggest way that I've discovered what I actually like to wear. So those are the 5 things that I wish I knew on my day 1 of starting my journey with personal style and fashion. You might already know some of them, you might know all of them, but I hope hearing them from someone else resonated with you and is helpful for your own journey. Let me know if you try anything with your style based on these tips. I want to know about it and I hope it helps. And most of all, thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day.